Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Ahmed Makedi, and in this video I'll be introducing enterprise architecture, and I'll be going through some use cases where this can be applied in the industry to realize business value. If you're part of a digital transformation project or a cloud migration project, then this is a topic that you should know about. If you're concerned about controlling the IT spending in your organization, then this is an interesting topic for you. If you're involved in any business transformation project, for example, improving customer journeys, then this is an interesting topic for you as well. Let's start. So let's first try to understand what is enterprise architecture. As the name suggests, it's the architecture of the enterprise. An enterprise is an organization or a group of organizations having a common set of objectives. So the architecture of the enterprise means the building blocks that form this organization and how these building blocks operate to realize the business objectives. The architecture is the blueprint that defines the structure and the operation of that organization. The main purpose of having an enterprise architecture or an enterprise architecture practice in an organization is to determine how an organization can most effectively achieve its current and future objectives. This happens by optimizing the way an organization is structured at the different levels. So where do we start with an enterprise architecture? Thanks to the Open Group, this is a global association that defines standards that help organizations realize business objectives using technology. The Open Group created TOGAF, the Open Group Architecture Framework. TOGAF defines a disciplined approach towards designing and implementing an enterprise architecture. TOGAF also includes best practices and guidelines while defining the architecture. If we will summarize the value of having an enterprise architecture in place, it would be to simply ensure that IT is aligned to business. Putting in mind that our main objective is to align IT to business, we need to understand which domains we should focus on while defining an enterprise architecture. According to the approach defined by TOGAF, we should start defining the architecture at the business level. This means defining business objectives, capabilities, structure, and processes. In most of the cases, we need to understand how the business is operating now and how it should be operating in the future. The next level of architecture definition should be related to the applications that are serving the organization, as well as the data that is used by these applications. Together, applications and data are called the information systems that are serving the organization. So architecture needs to be defined at this level. At the third layer of defining an enterprise architecture comes the technology domain. This has to do with the infrastructure, the networking, and the communications that are used by this organization. A relationship between the different layers needs to be maintained, as I will explain now. To get value from an enterprise architecture definition, traceability has to be maintained between the different architecture layers. For example, if we have a business process that has been defined at the business layer, and we have multiple applications serving that business process, so this relationship has to be maintained and documented in the enterprise architecture. Similarly, for each application, the infrastructure that is hosting this application needs to be documented, and the relationship as well between the infrastructure components and that application has to be maintained on the enterprise architecture system. Now we'll move to enterprise architecture use cases. Use cases explain situations where enterprise architecture can be applied to deliver business value. In this video, I'll be covering 4 use cases: application portfolio optimization, business process improvement, digital transformation, and infrastructure management. Our first use case is about application portfolio optimization. In this use case, we try to make sure that we are spending on the applications that deliver value to the organization. Otherwise, we need to adjust our applications portfolio. Enterprise architecture helps us to answer questions like which applications we should invest in, which applications to replace, and which applications to retire. For example, if we have 2 applications serving a specific business goal of the organization, with deeper assessment of application A, we realize that application A has a high business value and is technically fit. For example, it is reliable, scalable, and using modern technologies and can survive for the coming 5 years. The conclusion here will be that we need to invest more in application A. On the other hand, when we assess application B, we realize that application B is not providing a high business value and it's not technically fit. So the decision here will be to retire application B. Suppose that application B had a high business value, however it's not technically fit, then the decision would be to replace application B with a more fit application from the technical point of view. Using the information captured in your enterprise architecture, you can rank your applications based on technical and business fit scoring. And then you can start investing in the applications that provide value to your business. A typical approach for this use case is to assess the current application landscape, which we call the as-is environment, where you may be overspending on your application portfolio. Based on the assessment, we define the to-be or the future optimized application portfolio. The business value that we get from this use case is definitely cost savings on applications and the related infrastructure that is hosting these applications. Our second use case today is about business process improvement. A well-known technique for process improvement is value stream mapping. Any process will start with an objective, and then it goes through a sequence of steps to conclude this process and provide customer value. The time taken for the actual work during the process steps is called processing time, and the time taken between the steps is called waiting time. As an example, let's take the car registration renewal process. If you want to renew your car registration, you have to go through car inspection, and then you have to renew the car insurance. The time taken during inspection is processing time. However, the time taken while you're waiting in the queue for your car to be inspected, this is called waiting time. During value stream mapping, we analyze the whole process and we try to minimize the time taken during the steps, which is the processing time, as well as the waiting time between the steps. Having an enterprise architecture practice and system in place provides you all the information required to do this value stream mapping. It gives you information about the process stakeholders and owners, any related applications and infrastructure, and the capability to do what-if scenarios so that you can compare between different paths that can be taken by this business process to reach the best possible and most efficient path. As a result of value stream mapping, some steps during the process have to be changed, others have to be eliminated, and other steps can be automated to complete in a much faster time. For car registration renewal, I have seen this process taking 3 days in some places, and it's taking 45 minutes in other places. So you can imagine the amount of time, effort, and money that can be saved. Improving your business process means higher efficiency, higher productivity for your team, less time to market if you're delivering services to your customers, and significant cost savings. Our third use case is about digital transformation. Enterprise architecture plays a key role in digital transformation. First, let's understand what is digital transformation. This is simply defined as transforming your business in a way that makes the best use of digital technologies. At a high level, if we need to understand the relationship between business and IT, it's good to use this figure. In this figure, the horse represents the business and the cart represents IT. So it's clear that business is leading and IT is supporting. When applying digital transformation, what did some organizations do? They started adopting digital trends right, left, and center. So they shifted their applications to the cloud. They applied artificial intelligence everywhere. They applied automation everywhere, Internet of Things, and all the digital trends. Now the question here, is this the correct approach? The reality is that you can get little improvements, but this is not where you get the significant improvement. What these organizations did is that they put the horse behind the cart. They left the full responsibility of digital transformation to IT, and business was not leading. Let me give a few examples where this was not really the right decision. So for example, applying artificial intelligence in a customer care center, having all the customer care responses using AI bots. and eliminating the human factor completely. This causes extreme frustration for the customers who are calling because some inquiries cannot be answered by the AI bots. I've seen cases where the IT department was extremely happy because they removed the human factor. On the other hand, the business side was crying because customers were not happy. Another example is applying automation to a business process that has 20 steps without visiting the business side. So let's say that instead of 20 steps, the process can be completed within 4 steps or 5 steps. So improving the business side will have significant impact on the overall process. However, automating the individual 20 steps still will not introduce that significant improvement. Another example is shifting high traffic applications to the cloud. If you know that your end users are not having a good internet connection, definitely this is not a wise decision. So there's no wonder why 70% of the digital transformation projects fail. Now the question here, is there a better approach to digital transformation? Well, yes. Ideally, management should decide where they want the organization to go first at the business level, and then IT should align to the business goals and directions given by the organization manager. Then IT can decide which digital technologies to use to achieve the required transformation. Now for this process, enterprise architecture helps a lot because it defines a well-structured, disciplined approach and framework to achieve the IT alignment to business. Let's dig a bit deeper here into the suggested approach for digital transformation. So at the business level, some steps have to be completed first. For example, defining the current pain areas. This has to be done by the business team. Identifying the organization goals for the future. Then defining the vision, where we want to be in the next couple of years or in the next 5 years. Then defining the target business architecture based on the future goals. So for example, if one of the future goals is to have strong online digital marketing, definitely a team has to be created for that. So this is a change in the business architecture that has to be defined and planned. After the business goals, vision, strategy, and structure for the future has been defined by the business side, then IT comes to the picture. Based on the business goals and strategy, the IT team defines which applications should be built for the future and which technologies to use for these applications. Based on the applications that have been defined, the future infrastructure can be planned. The fourth use case I would like to talk about is related to infrastructure management. So how does enterprise architecture help with infrastructure management? Remember when we spoke about the traceability between business applications and infrastructure? If we have an enterprise architecture practice in place, we know for each business process which applications are serving that process. And for each application, we know what are the infrastructure components that are hosting this application. Using this information, we can answer multiple questions related to infrastructure management. For example, what are my infrastructure needs for the coming 2 years? Now, having the full traceability between the business goals and the business processes and the applications that are currently running or that are required for the future, then I can precisely assess what will be my infrastructure needs for the coming years. Let's say I have to upgrade a couple of servers. So the question here would be, if we go for upgrading servers A and B, which applications will be impacted and for how long these applications will be down, which business processes will be disturbed, and what kind of end users or departments will be affected by this downtime. If we have all the information about the current applications and the current infrastructure, and this is documented in our enterprise architecture, then we will be able to know for the coming year, for example, which software licenses will expire and who is the owner of these licenses. For example, if a renewal request has to be issued by the owning business department, we can alert the concerned people to take action. For the applications that will be retired, now we know that infrastructure related to these applications will be free, so we can use that for other applications. So this also can be planned if we have all the information properly documented in our enterprise architecture. Based on the use cases we went through today, we can see the business value that an organization can realize by having an enterprise architecture practice and implementation in place. We have seen how enterprise architecture ensures that IT is aligned to your business strategy and goals. We have seen how it improves the efficiency of business processes and operations, if you remember the business process optimization use case. We have seen how enterprise architecture helps us to make informed decisions. Now, this is mainly for intelligent spending on IT applications and infrastructure. We have seen also how enterprise architecture can bring significant cost savings when planning IT applications and infrastructure, or even for managing the existing landscape of applications and infrastructure. Thanks for watching.